And okay, maybe there's some slight concerns, right? You've taken Terrorblade a little bit earlier in the draft than Kataro teams normally do, but as you say, it's so clean, it's so just straightforward in terms of what it's going to do that there's not too much that 5 Red I think can do in the way of direct counterplays. And at this point, ET, it really feels like they're not even going to want to. That they should be maybe more concerned with just what they want in their lineup as opposed to attempting to counter anything.
Well, and that's where very interestingly, that TB makes a little bit more sense upon reflection of Raven's bans, because instead of focusing down speed and trying to limit him, they do kind of the pseudo choice where you give them every option. Speed can only choose one of the 5 heroes that we didn't ban, and then the 3 carries that would have perfectly countered out Terrorblade are gone. So at the end of the day, what do we see for a carry here for 5-Rat? Because sure, you can play Nature's Prophet carry into Terrorblade, but we know that's a ticking time bomb. We know that that's a matchup that eventually Katara will win. And despite not banning out any of Speed's heroes, 5-Rat have a pretty difficult choice here.
Mm-hmm. And then for Ravens, you close out phase two with a Tusk pick, which still, even this late in the draft, carries a little bit of flexibility still. They could put it into PP's hands mid. They could just as easily run Dismar at the 4 and lane him up with a Beastmaster, which ET is just a disgusting laning option.
Mm-hmm. And well, we'll have to see now. What's it going to be, 5-Rat? Is this going to be Speed's answer?
Okay.
And okay, it is Speed's answer. He gets to play his Primal Beast, and that's going to be fun to watch. Definitely one of the few players that still actually practices and polishes it up, whereas everybody else has kind of dropped it out of the meta. But he's got a tough road ahead of him, as well as you are playing versus a Terrorblade CM lane. CM was kind of seen as that answer for Primal Beast way back in the day when the hero was a little bit better, just because Frostbite is simply a great answer to Trample. Simple as that. You kill his play. It's where maybe Moose has a little bit more room to work with the Rubik, but it's still going to be kind of hard for him to play. But then you're still Primal Beast. You still do incredible damage. You get level 4, and probably somebody dies.
Yeah, if the Crystal Maiden isn't there to save you consistently, the Terrorblade is not exactly the tankiest of individuals, right? So you get on top of him with the trample, and Speed can do some work still. In the meantime, moving into the final phase of the bans here, Ravens do remove the Underlord ET, which honestly is a little bit of a strange one, all things considered.
Yeah, I think not wanting Red 2 to have some kind of cheese could be a part of it, or them thinking it's going to be Primal Beast mid, which it could be versus Tusk,
Hmm.
if that's what 5-Rat are drafting against, and what it could be. That could be the lane for Red 2, even though I think it's a little bit less likely. But that is weird, especially because we're not talking about Ember. Ember's been banned out already. You know, we're not even thinking of that hero, and that's always the answer, or has been the answer in this tournament so far. But I guess they are afraid of that little bit of flexibility in the Primal Beast pick as well. Another aspect of the hero that, again, don't get to talk about very much because he hasn't been here. But he can go up and down that position list very seamlessly. He's just a good core. So that's where 5-Rat do maintain that flexibility up until their final pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is something that gets kind of lost in the shuffle there, right? Primal Beast not popular anymore, but it basically played 2 through 4 in
And
its
Quap,
heyday. Yeah.
well, there you go.
Uh, Not sure that was the gotcha play that Ravens thought it was, because 5-Rat just instantly respond with the Queen of Pain counter, and well, there's no backing out of this ET, right? There's no switching they can do here. It does have to be the PP Bat Rider, so he's not gonna have a fun time, at least early on.
Yeah, and we will see what Red 2 can do, because the last time he played this lane, it was last night, it was versus Shopify, and he lost Batrider versus Quap. So maybe this is his redemption run a little bit, proving that these counters still exist and are very real. At the end of the day, there was never a chance that they were going to swing the Primal Beast mid whenever the Batrider gets picked up. So now it's just up to
Hmm.
Red 2 to win his lane. And we'll see. I believe in him. I think, laning versus Abed is a little bit of a different beast. I feel like
Yeah.
every mid laner can attest to that, but it's still kind of time for Red 2 to show his stuff here, because it is just the direct counter. Otherwise, though, I think Ravens have crafted quite the beautiful lineup here for Kataro. Terrorblade feels like there's no obstacles. Once he gets Scotty, he's gonna be the monster. If once he gets his BKB, then half of the lineup for 5RAT just falls off the face of the earth. It's where they have terribly damage problems. If Kataro gets space, he could probably win this game by himself.
Yeah, he is going to be a very scary man if he gets any space. So if you're 5RAT, well, maybe that's where you look to push into him a little bit, play a little bit faster. You've got a Nature's Prophet and a Queen of Pain, and honestly, let's throw in even the Primal Beast in there. Heroes that maybe get off the ground that little bit faster than average, so that might just have to be the play for them, because if they let Kataro just go free in the jungle, they are not guaranteed to lose ET, but it's going to be pretty damn hard to win.
Yeah, and it's gonna make the game really not fun. It's where 5RAT, they've got to get easily onto those objectives. They've got to be quick with it. They have to have nice BKB timings that are all synced up. And that's where, sadly, for 5RAT, those BKBs matter a little bit less with spells like Lasso, Primal Roar. I mean, hell, even the Tusk, most of his kit is just going to land, and then you have to deal with the damage afterwards. So it's going to have to be a pretty tight game from them, one with very few mistakes. It's where Ravens, they're going to be constantly pushing out your lanes. They're going to be constantly putting pressure on your towers with the Beastmaster. And then if they ever stop showing on the map for a second, they ever get an Aegis into Kataro's hands, that's just 3 or 4 more minutes added on top of this game and time for the Terrorblade to farm.
Well, a little bit of a pause here at the start. I mean, yeah, it's, becoming tradition at this point, but hopefully this can be a pretty short one and we can get ourselves underway. But well, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. For Ravens in particular, I do like the idea here. We talked about it in the draft ET. All the players that they've had to shuffle in, the carry position, position 4 as well, with Dismar being sort of in and out of the lineup. But, I mean, we have Kataro as our stand-in. Let's pick him, the single most comfortable hero that he's ever played in his entire career, and just roll with that.
Yeah, just spend 3 bans on it. They pick it up a little bit earlier as well in the draft, just because they know that it's Kataro's hero. And that also is kind of the stand-in advantage, where, Kataro hasn't played with Ravens very much. He's a specialty guy when it comes to this Terrorblade. Are 5RAT always going to be prepared for the random player you get for your 2-game series? Not necessarily. So, there could be a little bit of an advantage there. Of course, one that's a little bit thrown away come game 2, where you do suddenly realize that, okay, wait, let's pick up MNZ's, top 3 heroes and then keep those in the back of our mind. But, as a surprise factor, certainly has seemed to work here in game 1.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, they still have to execute on the plan. We say that pretty much every single time. The game's not played on paper, you do actually have to play it out, but the game plan's so simple for Ravens, in theory, whereas 5RAT are the ones who maybe have a little bit more on their plate here that they need to accomplish, but LET, I don't know. I feel like so much of this is just going to come down to Red 2. If he can just straight up win this matchup against the Batrider, it opens up a lot more across the map. You've got the Queen of Pain's rotations, you have the global presence of a Nature's Prophet, so if they get the momentum early, fake out on the unpause there, but if they get that momentum early, they could just completely destroy the timings Ravens want.
Yeah. And of course, it's not impossible for PP. It's like a 65-35 matchup in the Co-op's favor. The Batrider has to buy a lot more regen. It's where it just automatically forces you into spending more net worth on just staying out into the wave, and can be shored up by stacks. If Kara and Benjaz get to work, but the triangle and just that nice dire area can stack up very nicely for you. And then that Batrider recovery looks not so bad, as well as if they can keep any water rune out of Red 2's bottle, really just try to play up on the Queen of Pain's mana pool, make sure she doesn't get those free refills, then the lane gets quite hard. Quap spells are expensive. You need to actually have something to funnel into you. It's where if we ever see Red 2 buying mangoes, then we know that something's kind of went wrong, even though, at a certain point, you feel like you have to keep, investing into your winning lane. But that's exactly how Abed won his lane versus Red 2. So we'll have to see if Ravens adopt that same style.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, Abed is Abed. He gets away with things that a lot of other mid laners probably won't. But if you're PP, you might as well try to emulate the style and hope for similar results. Which I know it kind of sounds like we're dissing PP a little bit, but I don't think it's really an insult to any mid laner to say you're not quite at Abed's level. That's just a statement of fact.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough. You can have your certain heroes, you can have your specialties, like Dark Mega comes to mind when you think of, players that just do their own thing and are kind of incomparable. But at the end of the day, Abed is just top 3 mid laners of all time, most likely.
Mm.
As getting distracted a little by the by the all chat, right too. Kind of gunning right now for them.
And
Oh boy.
we do get the reason here. Benjaz apparently had a bit of an emergency, but well, Kara says he's coming back, so not a power loss emergency like we saw before, hopefully. And yeah, okay. They say that they're ready to go, but speed just DC'd. So we're not quite ready yet. Of course, if you're Ravens, this should mean that it is now your opponent's pause time being taken away instead of their own, because they burned through about 5 minutes there. And ET normally we would not care in the slightest about that, but we had some issues in the past with that pause time, so now I'm kind of paranoid.
Well, and at the end of the day, our Badger admin, God Gamer, he's got 2 stopwatches going. He's keeping track, and we'll see if a warning needs to be initiated. But that's where the NA side being dropped out. It's probably just the game restarting, a PC restarting. It's where those issues seem a little bit less catastrophic than our South American brethren. But it could be worse. And speed's back in, so here we go.
Okay. Our customary pause at the start of the game wouldn't be a pro series without him. But we get underway and we'll see just how these lanes play out. Ravens opting for the smoke here. A little bit of extra move speed. Don't know, though, if this is going to be an actual attempt at a kill. ET, that might be an avenue that they could look for to make that Pat Rider lane a little bit easier. If we could find a first blood here, get some money into his hands, get that bottle up and running, then that does alleviate some of those concerns, but they actually have to find a target.
Yeah. And they are mostly doing this just to let Banjaz cut some trees, get here early, make sure you can make that tree and protector's lane a little bit less free. As we've seen, even the counter gank, where they're going to go cut the trees, so a full 5-man ends up on top of you because they know what you're doing. So we do see that pretty frequently. But this game, no play on either side.
Ooh.
It dies down. They are walking back over to the runes now, with DNM having, of course, 2 treants out onto the map, so it's a little bit more annoying and a little bit more capable for scouting. But as soon as they see 4 heroes here, they're probably going to give it up and then just go for the block instead. DNM's getting cooked right
He
now.
doesn't know about the ward.
Yeah.
Shards will block him. Axes will fly through. Dismar attempting the body blocks, but now the Frostbite comes in from Kara. DNM's in some trouble. Do they have the damage to really get him, though? There it is. Axes coming back from the initial throw, do the damage, and it doesn't go into PP's hands, ET, but there's your first blood, and, well, the thing about this ward is, I'm not sure DNM even suspects that it's there now. He might have just assumed the Tusk got vision on him just physically.
Yeah, and of course, maybe Dismar now gets a courier snipe. Very likely. We'll have to see, but gonna have to be careful. And, well, that's kind of unfortunate for 5RAT. The creep wave went under the tower. Just a slight overblock from AB1 resulted in what now is going to be the wave hard pushing into Benjaz, a Beastmaster who just got first blood. So that Helm of Iron Will is going to be coming out just that little bit faster.
Yeah, and once he has that, this duo probably doesn't have the damage to really dislodge him from the lane. They've got a lot of harassment, ET, but don't know if they're going to be able to make too much stick here. As Dismar got to go back for some aggro at this point. AB1's trying to body block his own creeps, but yeah, Dismar's got it. He's going to pull it all the way under, and I guess we'll see if AB1 tries to contest as much of this as he can. Well, tower shots kind of, yeah, there you go, kind of complicate that a little bit, but Dismar is still going to be able to pull that away, get the equilibrium, potentially hit level 2 if AB1 can't deny any of these, and it's a convoluted plan, ET, but mission accomplished if you're Dismar.
Yeah, he's being annoying. He's isolating a 1v1. This isn't going great, though, and AB1's trying to force Dismar to tank these under tower, which will happen. Then if he gets any denies, then that's even better, as that is a pretty nice creep block. And AB1's in some slight trouble, but he's also tree. That tier 2 shot, though, was not planned. That ends up being kind of bad, but it's actually top lane where they get the trade. Okay. No points off in the uproar, but just hits that little bit of a power spike, and it's enough to kill the CM.
And, well, a much easier target compared to trying to get onto Katara's Terrorblade in the Metamorphosis form, so... Alright. That's one solution to the problem, right? If the Crystal Maiden is going to stop you from charging, well, let's charge the Crystal Maiden and see how that goes.
It's a very nice play, and it's where those kills give you that ability to start snowballing with your XP especially. Both these heroes are very hungry. They want their levels, where Moose is going to be rotating slightly more in and out of the lane, but now you're going to get probably level 3.5, something like that, for speed, so top lane's going quite nicely.
Farming well, they're getting experience. All in all, not so bad. Meanwhile, mid, well, this is kind of what we expected. Red 2's off to a bit of an advantage here with the last hits. Not even bothering with a point in the Scream, just trying to max out the Shadow Strike to be as annoying as possible, but PP's not getting shut out here. Sure, his last hit counts half of his opponent's, but he's got his bottle, he's got regen. We'll see what the stack situation looks like later, ET, but for now, he's just got to kind of deal with this.
Yeah, just gotta grin and bear it. We'll see. Nobody's griefed him just yet. PP's even getting some help out from his Tusk. Dismar comes and refills his bottle, so, you know, he's got his whole team behind him. And we'll have to see that same level of support for Red 2. And then things are going to get a little bit more exciting. But until then, got to stay in the side lanes.
Yeah, not a whole lot of early action, although Dismar is potentially going to spot AB1 here. Doesn't actually see him, though, and Triant's going to go for the stack. Did not actually get it on the timing, and now will not be able to secure that water rune either, as top lane, Kara, going to get picked off again, and, well, still no uproar. A second point in the trample, though, increases their damage output. Same situation with the Fade Bolt, and Kataro, I mean, he can throw out Reflection, I guess, but other than that, there's really not a whole lot of help he can provide.
No, just too much magic damage. Even the Reflection is just not a strong enough slow to really get them off of you. And we're getting to that point where probably gets scary, and he's still ignoring the uproar. His spells just do damage. He has nukes. You always have to be careful now. It's also where, because mid lane got countered, it's not like this Bat Rider is really going to be able to rotate up here and gank speed anytime soon. Maybe later on, but certainly not now. It's where 5RAT are kind of doing the win all three of their lanes thing right now. The only thing they got going for him is that Dismar is able to rotate because Benjaz has gotten his Helm of Iron Wool so early. But aside from that, they're kind of locked down in these losing lanes.
Yeah, not a lot of options at the moment, but, well, I mean, at least Benjaz is doing well for himself, right? You can count that. Taro is not the highest in terms of his last hit count, but he's not doing poorly either. And that's going to be the thing here. You mentioned if you're 5RAT, you are trying to come out here and win all three of your lanes. If you're Ravens, as dumb as this is going to sound, you don't necessarily have to win, just don't lose your lanes. And you're going to be able to try something later on. As Kara getting himself caught out once again. Is there enough damage this time? Yes, there is. There's a big angry Terrorblade trying to do what damage he can, and he does hit hard, ET, but nobody cares. 5RAT walk away with another kill.
Yep. They just get away with it. And that's a Wrath of Nature coming out already, which is, of course, leading into a kill attempt on the Benda's bottom one that I don't think they're going to get, but everybody is just so high level on 5RAT. It's very scary. These lanes are really starting to snowball a little bit. Of course, we already knew that snowball was coming, and PP has actually decided to rotate all the way towards bottom because he's having so little fun in the mid lane, and he will get a kill here, but not the kill he was looking for sure.
He does at least pick something up. That kill, though, did not get him to 6, so he still doesn't have the lasso, and at the same time mid, Kara came over to try and soak up some experience, but Moose is in the sort of sneaky position, but they don't want to dive the tower, especially not for just a kill onto Kara that's not guaranteed, so they decide to back it off, and if you're Ravens, could you have found a bigger target? Sure, but it's a rotation, you got to kill, your Bat Rider gets gold, and that's going to have to be enough for the time being.
Yes, it will, and we'll have to see how they decide to answer this kind of Moose problem they have with the Rubik just being obnoxious, but it's perfectly played from 5RAT so far. Speed's level 6 now. Kataro just can't lane because he's just going to get picked up and thrown down. Pulverize is that annoying. Speed's going to start to creep cut as well. Farm absolutely everything. Look for super early item timings. Just what Speed loves to do on this hero. And look at this. DNM was looking for him. If they break his TP, I think they just got him. There's nothing you can do.
And there's that Wrath of Nature eventually making its way back over for the damage, and DNM gets the kill. He picked up his Midas right before that play as well, ET, so 5RAT's really getting everything they want. 4K up, and if you're looking at this from the Ravens' perspective, what, if anything, can they try and do right now?
Really, it is just wait for Benjaz. Because Benjaz just got his Helm of the Dominator. He's going to start to be that obnoxious Beastmaster. He's got 4 points up in Axes. He actually can do damage. Everybody else in the lineup can only nuke out these waves.
Ooh,
and
what a dodge.
okay, it's an attempt to dodge, but the damage is still there, and Dismar is just in over his head. He's kind of baiting PP into dying as well now.
Yeah, this isn't good. PP is going to get caught. There's your Pulverize. I said what a dodge. It was a good dodge from the Tusk. Kara, though, yeah, kind of got left behind and blown away, so listen, if that had just been the two supports getting in over their head, trying to fight for a rune there, that would have been understandable. But PP getting dragged into it really just kind of cuts Ravens off at the knees.
Yeah, and well, it keeps on going, and well, okay, Speed.
They should get Kara here. Maybe not, actually. There's the DOT going to be enough. He's got a Tango
They're
going.
Have to kill him, maybe. Well,
He's
tier 2 tower
regenerating quite
protection.
nicely, yeah. I think he's going to
There you
live.
go. That is unfortunate, though. Losing your mid tower, can't do anything about it. That's where, sadly, in this matchup, Benjaz is more locked down to a specific lane. He can't rotate nearly as easily, and yeah, well, that's sad. DNM's out. Murder. Got away with it.
Oh, Kara. All that effort, survives the initial fight, and then just accidentally wanders too close to a camp DNM was farming, so that's the support life. You are really just kind of dead and gone at the drop of a hat, but if you're 5RAT, that kill still matters. That's DNM not only finding that kill, but finding farm on your opponent's side of the map. He's already working his way towards the Maelstrom, so I mean, he's off to the races, ET. You take a look at his net worth, he's 1,800 above the highest hero on the Ravens side. And this is what we were sort of warning about, right? If 5RAT get this momentum, Ravens will not have the timing that they want. This kill, though, would be big if they can get it. They're going to drop the lasso. The Firefly was not really available, though. He uses it now, but now it's too late. There's not enough damage. And here comes Speed. Very angry. Coming in. There's the Pulverize into the Sonic Wave. That's a lot of hate for the Bat Rider, but they take him down.
Yeah, can't really do much. And then Benjaz walks over looking for Aurora, but you can't really find anything. They're trying to bait Speed in here, but Speed is just standing proud. Time to get out of here, though. Yeah, Wrath of Nature flies through as well, so even less of a reason for Ravens to go for that engagement. But, man, these support levels are just dismal. Dismar's level 3, Kara's level 4. This is with, I feel like, a tome given to someone that isn't the supports, but I didn't see who actually took it, but that's the desperation we're kind of at this point.
Not a great sign when you're that far behind, but don't really have much of a choice. They just have to try and survive for now, but the lead is increasing, and okay, Moose steals Napalm. That's not the greatest spell in the world, but it's still useful. As yeah, Benjaz is in some trouble. There's the jump. Pulverize is ready. They're still short a little bit of damage here. There's going to be the Roar coming out. No Onslaught again. He used it to get into the fight, so okay. Benjaz will live, maybe? No. DNM comes in, looking to finish the job. There's the Sprout into the Onslaught. And they will finish the job. Moose, though, does get taken down on the other side of the map. And Red 2 goes down with him. PP did have to sacrifice his support there, but that's a big double kill for your Bat, who really desperately needs an injection of gold at this point.
Yeah, and that just gave him his boots of travel. That's huge. That's exactly what you need. And needs to be a little bit careful of speed here. And PP, the confidence. He thought he would be fine because he was so sure he could get the flame break onto speed in mid-charge, but overconfidence, I mean, resulting in his death because he missed that flame break and he definitely died instantly after that happened.
Yeah, just unfortunate situation. Tells his teammates, guys, don't worry, I've got this. And he did not have it. Not even a little bit. And speed now, 3-0-5. I mean, we always talk about the Primal Beast. You need a BKB, and then you're kind of good to go for a lot of the game. I mean, he's working towards that BKB, but he's still top 3 net worth, so he's going to have a whole lot more than just that basic magic immunity, unless Ravens can just get the hell out of his way.
Yeah, now, here's the question, though. Does he TP bottom? Who is going to look for this tower defense? There's 4 Ravens heroes here. But it's also a team fight that Speed kind of wants. He still wants to just run at you, be obnoxious. They don't have overgrowth, so that could be a reason why they're just deciding to walk instead. But this is a big fight that they're going to have to be very careful of. Supports are also making no rotation just yet. Moose is still TP-less, would have to walk or maybe arrive later onto this fight, but it's going to be a battle for the tier 1. Everybody is here. This is a huge team fight.
The Ravens do suspect that something is coming. See Kara and PP kind of playing back. And now they have concrete vision of their opponents. Moose will now TP in. As you said, had to wait that cooldown, but... Okay, speed. A little bit early there on the jump. He does get roared. There's going to be the punch as well, but a nice Sonic Wave flies through. Wrath of Nature applied as well. Multiple heroes are low here, but they did get the lasso down. Speed is going to get caught. DNM TP's in, though, looking for the trade. Dismar gets taken down, and Kara is picked off on the backline by Red 2. So with the supports gone, the Ravens cores, they don't really want to be here anymore. PP TP's out. Benjaz left several seconds ago already, and... oh, Kataru is still kind of hanging out in the jungle, and they're going to go looking for him, ET, but they won't catch him.
Yeah, and that's a play that it's really hard to tell, because you disrupt everything, and the one person who's really not too bothered is DNM. He spent very little time in that fight. He came in, TP'd, then he went immediately back to farming. That's why he's still top net worth by quite the margin. But you got a tier 1 tower, and you got a speed kill, so it's not nothing for Ravens. It just isn't that definitive win that I think they're looking for. It's also just the amount of AoE damage 5RAT has. It's just so obnoxious, and unfortunately for 5RAT, very nice scan is going to protect both the Beastmaster and the Terrorblade, allowing them to now walk out of top, but placing some vision at the very least, making something with their smoke.
And maybe getting a push onto the tier 2 if DNM wants to stick around for it long term. And I do mean long term. That creep wave is not even really all that close to the tower, but DNM's got nothing else to do. He's trying to close in on that Gleipnir, and that is just an insanely fast time. He is about to pick it up in just another moment or two, so Nature's Prophet is, quite frankly, it's out of control. 10k net worth at 15 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's insane. DNM's doing a fantastic job. He's just been able to do really everything he wants. No ganks on him, no movement of the Batrider to try and look for him in the jungle either. Just hasn't really been enough time. And sure, with the Gleipnir buildup, you are a scary hero, but you do have to be concerned about those early BKBs from Ravens. It's where your very expensive item can get countered very simply, but right now, you are the scariest hero on the map. And PP, you gotta be pretty careful here. Glyph comes through, they're gonna clear out these treants as well, and gonna slow up DNM's push just a bit, but DNM is battle ready. He is ready to fight, he's raring to go. He really wants engagement to happen, even though I think Ravens already might just want to sack this tier 2 tower. It sucks to lose a tier 2 tower 16 minutes into the game, but there's no Batrider BKB, there's no Helm of the Overlord, there's no way Katara's gonna want to get involved. It's probably just gonna be their team's deaths, if anything. 5RAT want the kills as well. they don't necessarily want that tier 2 tower. They love to knock it down, but they're still looking for heroes more than anything. As Dismar,
Mm-hmm.
well,
Okay. Snowball will buy him a moment or two, but yeah. The NM says, no, 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 no. Not letting you try anything like that. They find the kill, and uh-oh. That is the real Kitaro. They're going to pull him back here. There's the onslaught. Pig pull, well, is not really going to be enough if you're pulverized. Now the Sonic Wave comes in. One kill turns into two, and... well, they might be looking for a little bit more. Mass TP's bot. Yeah, PP. Just trying to push out the lane by himself, trying for maybe a freebie onto AB1, but instead, another sort of domino falls there, and those are really two of the heroes that could not afford to die in that situation.
yeah, and then immediately back on top, and Dismar is in over his head again. And DNM, well, see if he actually wants this, but they are giving some respect over to Ravens and especially Benjaz, but 5RAT are still getting so much out of the map. And of course, Treant Protector as well. We've never seen any pressure put in this mid-tier 1. We've never seen that Beastmaster rotation where he collapses from the off lane. Ravens just don't have that much to play with right now. Even though Benjaz is scary, and especially the supports, Moose has to be so careful, and, well, Pig Pull is going to let him get out of there. Dodges Dismar's shards, but that's the only hero they need to respect right now. It is just the Beastmaster, and if they can't ignore him, well, that's what they're going to do. It's really easy to tell which lane the Beastmaster is playing, and so just occupy the other two, and you're also fine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Just, punching the hell out of that. And yeah, that is the problem with the Beastmaster, right? You got to move the whole army, the whole menagerie with you, so your plays are a little bit telegraphed there, but well, if your Ravens... who else can make plays here, ET? PP did just get the Blink Dagger up and running, and he doesn't have anything defensive at the moment, but is the Blink and the Boots of Travel enough, you think, for the Bat to try and get a little more aggressive here, or should he continue to farm?
He's definitely going to continue to farm as, well, Dismar, he goes down, but it just makes it easier for them to look for those picks. And that's all they're looking for. They're looking for pickoffs. And DNM, no BKB.
He's going to get roared. Sonic Wave pushes him back, but it doesn't stop the damage, and that's exceptionally greedy. Just TP's in onto what he thought was his rune, and didn't realize he was surrounded by about 3 heroes until it's too late. That's a massive kill to just hand over to your opponents, and Ravens, I mean, they used Rory T, but they didn't use Lasso. Although, PP, yeah, this is a little bit awkward. Maybe trying to do too much all by himself, and now Speed is going to jump in. Pulverize connects. Benjaz in trouble. Stolen Frostbite keeps him locked down, and then Moose picks up the double with the Fade Bolt onto Kara.
Yeah. A little bit too confident with their high ground ward there. One that they were trying to kite AB1 around, but that's where that Blink Dagger doesn't look or feel all too great on the Batrider. Because of BKB, maybe he's able to actually take that team fight, but that was also just a little bit crazy. Craziness on both sides. DNM's death was definitely bad, but so was the 3 members of Ravens going down. So, you know, it evens out. But that was their big timing. Of course, DNM is now going to have to put his head in the sand a little bit, finish his BKB, sync up with speeds. But as soon as they have BKB on Nature's Prophet, I can only imagine that 5RAT are going to look for the first Roche, which they definitely should. They probably could have forced it beforehand as well, but they're just being safe. As Moose, well, got lassoed. They're out of gas now. I think the supports are just both dead again.
Yeah, they are going to lose both of them, but the Batrider's able to use the last of his Firefly to get away, but... well, the problem is that the kill you got was really just onto a support as well, so the trade-off is not fantastic, especially if PP dies. And he thought he was safe. Thought he could stop and farm a wave, but Red 2 and Speed are still on him, and honestly, ET, it feels like Ravens just still have not adjusted to the level of distance that Speed and Red 2 can cover.
Yeah, no, it's very simple for them right now. And it is just Primal, and of course, you don't play versus Primal versus many of these teams. This is kind of still the specialty for Speed, so maybe that's a part of it, but with those picks, very simply, they just push into the Roche, get their first Aegis, don't even have to wait for DNM's BKB, even though he has it, and very wisely, give the Aegis over to Red 2. Kind of trade out, don't have to deal with Quap's rule now. Quap can go in and feed at least once and still probably be fine. And it also comes with DNM already having his defensive item, so just giving Red 2 a little bit of that buffer to play with. And makes it so Ravens don't really want to start on the Queen of Pain anymore.
Oh,
Red 2 is already
baby.
kind of annoying, but
Gotta be very careful there. He's able to back away, but Red 2 is still kind of hunting. Speed's coming around looking for that wrap angle. He is going to be able to jump in onto Kara, activates his BKB, DNM sends out the Wrath of Nature, and nobody, absolutely nobody on Ravens wants anything to do with this fight, except maybe Dismar, but I'm not sure if this was a great idea. Kara's going to buy back, though, trying to TP in. They do get the lockdown onto Speed, but there's AB1. Ian with the Overgrowth, locking heroes down. Sonic Wave comes through. No Sunder from Kitaro. And now the fight is over. PP's going to get one last kill onto Moose there with the trade-off, but Red 2 grabs the triple kill, and the Ravens, I mean, they just can't really seem to get the fight that they want here. It doesn't help that they can't really lock down anyone other than the Primal Beast, and that's kind of by design.
yeah, it's just too hard. I think he's also got the 15 talent, which makes it even more obnoxious because he dispels himself and then he runs around, no frostbite, no napalm to slow him up. And that was a nice move from Ravens to actually get the kill onto Speed, but it's simply still too early for Kitaro. Doesn't have a Scotty yet, isn't really tanky enough for any of these fights that are dragging out just a little bit too long. And that was also another engagement just beautifully choreographed by Moose. Just had the telekinesis at the perfect time, doesn't let the Sunder go off. The fight just ends up being that perfect brawl. And sure, you lose Speed again, but you get more damage, you get more farm time, everybody gets to retreat. All those BKBs are just ticking down, and then once they're all available, 5-rat smoke, and here we go.
Yeah, they're off to the races here. And Dismar's going to walk right into the trap. Of course, you look over to the east there, and it was Kitaro who could potentially have walked into that instead, so definitely the lesser of two evils to have your support taken down, but it's another death. Staggers your lineup again. PP at least is able to dodge out the root, but now he has to fall back to the base, and did not point this out initially, ET, because the fight did break out, but AB1 got that Aghanim Scepter at like 20, 21 minutes. I mean, this is illegal. This is just straight up not supposed to happen.
And of course, you know, versus Batrider and Beastmaster, slightly unfortunate, because, you know, they are heroes that are very adept at taking down said trees, as Kara is getting killed in the most frustrating way possible.
I'm gonna try and just TP back to Fountain. I don't know if that's gonna work. Okay. One more tick would have killed him, but he's able to make it back in time, so... Well, good news for your Crystal Maiden. However, ET, Kara did get the old dieback in that last team fight, so even avoiding that death still leaves him unbelievably broke.
Yeah, and they're
lasso.
initiating.
Where's the damage, though? They need the Roar. They are going to deploy it. They've got the Walrus Punch as well, but the Roar is stolen. Moose is able to lock down Benj as DNM repositions. And again, ET, they take a fight without their, I was going to say primary damage dealer in Kitaro. At this stage, it feels like only damage dealer.
Yeah, they just can't get the Terrorblade on top of him. They do pass him the gem as well, but again, it's still without a Scotty. There's a Satanic now up on DNM. He is so tanky, and well, they're coming for your buildings. They used so little in that previous fight. Sure, you got DNM's BKB, which was a great reaction from him, but they're trying to use Aegis. They're going in. They're going to get Kara. There's no Glyph either. This is just your perfect moment. And Benjaz, they know you don't have BKB, brother. And okay, the Flame Break makes it a little bit more difficult, but without a BKB, PP is not able to stay in these fights either. And sure, maybe Red 2 goes down, maybe doesn't go down. Doesn't matter. He's got Aegis. He's fine. And PP.
They got the root. They got the second root. Man, Moose is doing work here. He's thrown more Frostbites than Kara has, and that's... I mean, that's when you know you're playing basically the perfect Rubik game. When you become a better version of the hero that you steal spells from, your team is in a good spot here. And ET, at this point, if you're Ravens, maybe you start considering those two little letters in the all chat here and move on to the next one, because I don't know, is this worth trying to wait out and see if Kitaro can actually farm himself up for a comeback, or what?
Well, Kataro never says die.
True.
So, maybe that's going to keep them in this game a little bit longer. Now, if Kataro loses his Scotty or loses his life in buying a Scotty, then maybe Kataro says die. But, hey, they've got this tier 2 bottom. They've got a little bit more space to work with. That Scotty is done. And they've got some pretty nice vision around here with their Hawks and the high ground wards. But with those trees, it's very obvious that Ravens are kind of gunning for an engagement now. They're clearing out a lot of those Ags trees. Again, kind of an unfortunate game to rush, but there's the lasso. Maybe take down moves early.
Do get him. They got the roar onto speed as well, but here comes DNM in with the Gleipnir. Kataro's able to really just dodge it out with his Manta, and Sonic Wave actually just pushed him onto the hill, which gets him away from some of the damage, but it also takes him entirely out of the fight, a fight that his teammates are rapidly losing, and at this point, he needs a Sunder target. There it is. AB1 steps in, but AB1 is going to eat the damage and still get off the overgrowth, so now Kataro has no backup, no life. He's going to get taken down, and PP, the last man standing, just desperately TPs home. And that somehow works perfectly. Thought for a moment with the Sonic Wave push that they had maybe misplayed ET, but it's the perfect separator.
Yeah, and now, well, we might run out of game. Die back on the Tusk, CM respawns, but that's about it. There's no meta for 100 seconds, even though there's no tier 2 bottom. And of course, Speed, trying to be the good guy, he's like, I'll get the wave, guys, we can go bottom. The team is ending. The tier 4s are under attack. There's still no BKB on the Batrider. All of his timings are just messed with a little bit too much. And with Benjaz respawning, that will force a little bit more respect out of 5RAT. Still could die to the roar, to his BKB, so they're gonna give Benjaz that much, but, well, then the team says, okay, Speed's making us go bottom, we're all gonna go bottom now.
Yeah. Speed's just sitting there like, yeah, how'd that tier 4 push go, guys? You want to come help me? Focusing on the objectives. Of course, tier 4s are objectives too, but wasn't quite gonna work out. So they grab the tier 2. Not going to push all the way up here just yet, but look at the way that they're posturing. They've got the smoke on 3. They're looking for someone to step too far out of line, and Kataro, ooh, had toes all over that line there, but he's able to get back in time. Really can't afford to lose him. If TB goes down, then there is no last defense. There's no fight.
They are getting to wait out this long meta cooldown, though. And that's why Ravens decide to smoke up, thinking if they can get the initiation, especially if PP can find somebody before their BKB. Also going to have to somehow avoid the Lincoln Sphere on that Queen of Pain, but they don't get any wind of speed. They don't pop their smoke either, but they also know that something's going on. If nobody is pushing out bottom, nobody's getting any of the waves in, something's up, so PP has to show, and then the rest of the lineup will show, and then the trees will see all, and then Raven's sneaky play is kind of go up in smoke right now, as well as Roche spawning in 10 seconds. I think they've got 2 more smokes on Kara, so if they want to, they could cross the map again, but they're running out of resources right now.
Gonna have to make a decision here in the near future, although Speed's gonna make the decision for him. Just charges his way in. Hit by the Frostbite. They would love to force his BKB early, but Speed is holding it. But now DNM pushes in, takes a roar to the face, but this is also staggered. They're falling back. The roar is down. No one is able to do any damage. And they're just looking to catch anyone that they can. Benjaz is going to get caught. Pulverized, locks him down. DNM's got the damage. Kataro was at least able to TP himself back home, ET, but now neither of those 2 dead heroes have their gold or timer for buyback, so yeah, it's up to the high ground once again. And if you're Ravens, can you really afford to even try this? They've already lost Kara. Kara does have a buyback, actually, so he could get back in, but 3v5 doesn't sound great, but you're going to lose all of your racks if you don't go.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're kind of at the end game. And you know?
Uh-huh. And there's the GG. Okay. That's a little uncool there, but the GG gets called. 5RATs kind of knew this was the way the game was going anyway, and they will take the opening match of this best of 3.
Yeah, and I think for Ravens, slightly frustrating affair, even though at the end of the day, they had this nice idea, this kind of forcing play in the draft with the TB, with the 3 bans following it, but then you do give Speed his heroes, and I think that's where 5RAT knew exactly what they were going to do. They gave Speed options as well. You know, it could have been the NP or the Primal Beast at the end of the day, but they get their two arguably most successful heroes. They get Moose and AB1's best heroes. Red 2 Co-op, you know, he's just lane versus Batrider. But at the end of the day, I think the takeaway here is that 5RAT just drafted to win all 3 lanes, and then they won all 3 lanes.
Mm-hmm.
Done. Simple. It's kind of the NA strat at this point. You know, us North American teams, we love winning our lanes and then kind of snowballing off of that. You know, some other regions criticize us for our emphasis on those lanes. But hey, here, it worked. And that's where Ravens just couldn't find a strong enough hero to play around. They tried to make Benjaz into that hero. And for a while, Benjaz is pretty darn scary. He's the only one with item timings on his team. And it feels like he can do it for a little bit. But then there's one Benjaz death. Then there's a second one. Then there's a third one. Then he's no longer the win objective. Then you look back to PP and you say, okay, you got anything for us? What do we got here? And then they never find a pickup with the Batrider. And then you look at Kataro, and Kataro's like, I got my Scotty in like 5 minutes, guys. Can we last that long? And 5RAT don't give him that much time.
Yeah. The heroes that needed to be creating the space, buying the time for Kataro to come online, were suffering well, even worse than the TB was. But as you say, there is a lot of criticism to the lane-oriented style in North America, and it's fair to say not all of it is unwarranted, because in this instance, 5RAT looked like geniuses. They win all the lanes, they take the game, they're in control the whole way through. We have seen that backfire, where the overemphasis on the lanes really kind of hamstrings you in the later stages, but this time around, 5RAT were firing on all cylinders, ET, and really, I think the thing that's going to get lost here, as just a sort of closing remark, you look at the stat lines for DNM and for Red 2, 15 kills, 17 kills. Speed got all of his kills in the laning stage and then basically never killed anyone again, but he was really the engine here for this team.
Yeah, gets his BKB first, forces all of the team fights, is the hero actively looking to kill Benjaz in a lot of those engagements. I mean, just plays Primal Beast, just makes it look good, makes it feel good, gets to revive it a little bit come these later stages of the tournament as well, gets those teams thinking, do
Mm-hmm.
we need to ban out this speed guy's hero pool, or where do we find our weakness? I mean, at the end of the day, there was no death profit that 5RAT could have gone for. The options are there. I think that's where Ravens really just drafted pretty much entirely around Kataro and then opened themselves up to just so many of these horrible counter picks, and then it just doesn't matter at that point. But game 2, maybe we see some shift up.
Yeah, we'll see what adjustments are going to come here for Ravens, because they do need to change something. This strategy would not have been that bad on paper, but in actual execution, they got slapped in the face pretty hard here. So we'll see what Game 2 has in store, whether Ravens can make the adjustments to come back into the series, or if 5RAT are going to be able to 2-0 it. So stick around. We'll be back on the other side of the break with the start of the draft.